All right. All right. Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas, and have the elder Yatazak here as well. All right, from GMS Dallas. So we're going to be continuing the series of the book of Second Esdras, chapter 5. Okay, and basically, chapter 5 is just continuing the conversation, really, with the angel. You know, Ezra, when you read in the end of chapter 4, which we covered last week, um, there are some questions that Ezra was asking. You know, um, what's going to happen in the last days ultimately. What shall happen in those days, talking about the last days. Well, this is the end of chapter 4, right? And so he said, okay, you know what, I'm going to tell you that the angel that Ezra was speaking to said, okay, I'm gonna tell you what's going to happen in the last days. You see, I have that part highlighted in verse 51. Okay, so that lets you know that when you continue on to the next chapter, that the angel is answering what shall happen in the last days. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start here in verse 1 without further ado. All right, this is Second Ezra chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold. And a token is a sign or a is something that resembles something, or it represents something. So concerning the things that represent the end, basically, right? The tokens. Behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. Okay. Now remember, the angel is speaking, basically referring to the future. So if this happened, what, 2,500 years ago, right, more or less, then the angel speaking about these times, end time prophecy, the times that we're in right now, which technically, um, the scripture says, in First John, little children, it is the last time. Okay, when it talks about the Antichrist and things like that, you know. So since Yahweh Shai came on the scene and made the sacrifice, we've really been in the last times. Okay. And so how much more so now, okay, that we've come back, into the understanding as we once were. Okay. We're coming into the understanding, and now we're here in Babylon the Great. In the physical, we're physically here in a whole nother country. This is Babylon the Great, okay? America. So the United States of America specifically. So uh I'm gonna get a quick precept here in Amos 8. Okay. This is Amos chapter 8, verse 11. It says, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh Bashem Shai, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Okay, because when you go back here in Second Esdras, it says the way of truth shall be hidden. Okay, the way of truth shall be hidden, in the land being barren of faith. That's ultimately going into the famine of the hearing of the word. Okay, people not going to know, they're not going to have any sense of direction, because we're fast forwarding now to the times where the daily life of that people are used to, being able to come home from work and watch Netflix and pop a bag of popcorn and kick their feet up, pop toes. That day, that's going to be a thing of the past. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
a day that we're quickly approaching. Those days are upon us in these times. Very, very.
That
Yeah.
that word perplexity come to mind. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When Yahweh Shah was prophesying about the last days, He was talking about people being in distress and being perplexed, not knowing what to do, not having the answers. When you get into that word distress, the squeeze being put on the cattle so that the farmer can administer the medicine. You see? And going into this chapter, you know what I'm saying? Going into this chapter as we was brushing up on it, um, the way that the Lord set it up to prophesy. That's what I'm saying. The prophecies are to make you fear the Lord so you can get right. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, that's why you got so many groups that's not prophesying, because that's not their life. You know what I'm saying? They're not worried about broadcasting the fear of the Lord upon the people because they got their own agenda. You see? But what we read, this chapter that we read, man, you know what I'm saying? It's a prophecy of how scary it's going to be in the last days.
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Con, I'm gonna get this precept here going into uh really this whole chapter or the whole first half of the chapter. Luke 21 and 25. All right, these are the words of Yahweh Shai. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. Because remember, the ordinances of heaven are given for to show the signs of the times. Okay. All right. And so we've been seeing a lot of it. Anytime you got, these things in the heavens, like the blood moons and things like that, those are signs, man. I remember, what was it, like just last year? It was like a record number of blood moons. It was like it seemed like almost every month.
Yeah.
Some months you
Yeah, it
had
was a
two
lot.
blood moons in 1 month.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Every type of moon that you could have, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it was, they had it was coming up. And so um these are signs, right? It says, and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity. Okay. And it says the sea and the waves roaring. Now, let's get this word perplexity real quick. Okay. Perplexity. G640 aporia, the state of one who was in perplexity, the state of quandary. Let's get the root word.
Yeah, that's where the
Let's
juice
get the
at.
root. Yeah, it says aporeo,
Now you
doubt.
see that? Now check this out. You see
Mm-hmm.
how when you go into the root, it's more detail.
Mm-hmm.
You see it when you looked up perplexity the first time. All it said was somebody who perplexed.
Mm-hmm.
That's where that I would say that's where somebody that's blinded from the truth will stop.
Right. Right.
Now look how juicy that is. So if you stop at well, it's just somebody who perplexed. It ain't giving you the full prophecy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So when your table is being made a snare and these stumbling blocks come up in the scriptures, this is how you see it.
Fine.
Look, read how juicy that is, and that's you see, and
Right.
it is way deeper than well. It's just somebody who was perplexed.
Right.
We just go read it for what it say. Okay, well if you just gonna read it for what it say, we're gonna break it down. Since you
Fine.
only gonna read it at face value, we'll break it down.
That's right. That's right. It says to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting. Think about that. You without resources and in straits. You know what I'm saying? That means you have no protection. No way to better your situation. Right? It says to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, to
To
not
be
know which way.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
Whoa. Let's go back to that embarrassed part.
Yeah.
You French frogs out there?
Yep.
Yeah, all y'all, the Lord name don't matter. His prophets don't matter. We gonna change up the doctrine and play victim. All that's what I'm saying. You finna be embarrassed. See, right now you're too smooth to be embarrassed.
Right. Yeah.
You know what
Con.
I'm saying? But you can see that, bro, them Genesis niggas feeling that heat.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Tazariak too. All these other
Mhm.
Israelite groups feeling that heat, man. Because you see, the closer we get to the MOTB, you know what I'm saying? The more they wiggle.
Yep.
All of them feeling the heat. That's what I'm saying. So when your ass is perplexed during Jacob's trouble, we don't want to hear shit.
Fine. That's right. That's right. You know, and they will be embarrassed. And actually, that ties in with Daniel 12 and chapter 2. Excuse me, Daniel chapter 12 and verse 2. You know, some shall
Mhm.
be waking up to righteousness and some to shame and everlasting contempt. You
That's
know,
Proverbs 11.
um, that's right. That's right. You know, and so a lot of people, man, it says to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, to not to know which way to turn.
To know which way to turn. That's what I'm saying. Your congregation, I would say y'all hanging y'all congregation out to dry.
Yep.
They not gonna know where to turn because of you. You know what I'm saying?
Fine.
Yeah. When you were telling them, don't listen to Great Millstone, don't listen to Apostle, don't listen to them. They rapists, they pedophiles, they this, they that, but they were telling the truth the whole time while you was lying. They were
That's right.
saying was true. What we saying is true. What you saying is lies. They focused on them lies,
Fine.
and then they missed the boat.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Let me make sure. You, oh, you got headphones in? Okay. It's kind of fading in and out. Sometimes I can hear you, but uh, I can hear you. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't even know if you, yeah.
I'm gonna turn them off if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
I
turn them
think,
off.
okay. I think it's just, you know, when you get the headphones, the mic, if the mic gets covered, then it's hard to hear, but I can hear you though.
Okay, I
It's
can hear
more
you
clear
loud
now.
and clear.
Yeah. All right. So it says, we see, oh, I was reading that. Let me go back to Luke 21, where I'm at here. So I got that word for perplex. Okay. Now let's go back to Luke 21 and 25 again. Okay. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Okay. So individuals are going to be, again, not knowing which way to turn. All right. And it's going to be on a national, it's going to be on a global level. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a time of great uncertainty in the earth. Okay. And, you know, you can continue reading on down, you know, and getting more of that, the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay. But we're going to go back here because this chapter is a little bit over 50 verses. So we're going to have to split this up into two parts. But we're going to get into this prophecy here, part of the chapter. All right. It says, and the land shall be barren of faith. All right, we already went into that. Amos 8 and 11. Verse 2 says, but iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest. And we kind of touched on this, and I think it was chapter 4, where it talks about how great a floor um, shall the wicked fill when the Lord basically, you know, uh, reaps the harvest. You know what I'm saying? When the Lord reaps the harvest of the righteous and the wicked and separates the wheat from the chaff, you know, there's going to be a great harvesting. All right, that's going to come to pass. Okay, and all of the things that individuals have sown, okay, they're gonna reap that, man. They're gonna reap that. Okay. So it says, iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago.
It's gonna
And
get worse.
con, con, you know, and like the scripture says, real quick, matter of fact, let me pull this up real quick. Um, wiser than Daniel, you know what I'm saying? Ezekiel 28. Okay, because Esau basically he uses his wisdom or his, you know, yeah, he basically uses his wisdom for wickedness, right? Um, so this is Ezekiel 28, and this is talking about the prince of Tyrus, okay, at the time, which represents Esau in these times, because this is what this is what Tyrus was a port area where a lot of ships will come in, and so any port cities, they're always going to have high level of traffic, and you're gonna have a lot of merchandise going in and out. And so this is a huge trading center in the earth, and he has the power economically. So this goes into Esau, especially when you look into how he deals with the power. It says, Ezekiel 28:3, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures, and by thy great wisdom and thy traffic, right? Traffic, merchandise, buying and selling, thou hast increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. You see, so this devil, man, Esau, okay, he has, increased in riches. Like when you go to Revelation 18, he's increased in all these things, but it's been off of the backs of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay. And so wickedness is increased even when you go into First Maccabees, in like the beginning of chapter 1, it talks about how time passed and wickedness was increased. See if I can find that one real quick. Or evils, it says evils were multiplied upon the earth, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maccabees. Let me see here. 12 years. Here we go. Simple. Verse 9. Talking about after the death of Alexander the Greek. After his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Why? Because the devil, all right, Esau, see, because it says it right here, Alexander, okay, the Macedonian, that's Greek. Alexander the Greek, he was an Edomite, okay, and he came and he conquered, all right, and he was the one that had dominion over the earth at that time. And under his dominion, evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay. So, with that understanding, we're going to go back here. All right, verse 3. It says, and the land that thou seest now to have root, shalt thou see wasted suddenly. Okay. That's talking about Babylon the Great. You gonna say something, Zaquan?
No. You good?
Yeah, Khan. That's talking about Babylon the Great. Let me get a precept real quick. Hold it on deck. Jeremiah 51. Okay. Babylon judged for the sins against Israel. Hey, these titles, man.
I'm
Blue
telling
letter
you.
got
I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you, man. And that's a part of the understanding. How
Mhm.
can you open up a chapter and not see that?
Yeah, 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 Khan. Yeah, that's right there. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna read verse 3 again real quick in second Ezra. It says, "And the land that thou seest now to have root," because this place right now it's taking root in the earth. It's taking root in the earth, right? You know what I mean? It's growing and all this stuff. Matter of fact, I got a precept. Axe has laid to the root of the tree. Where is that? Oh, okay, it's in the New Testament. Beautiful. Okay. All right, here we go. I thought this was in another location, but I'll bring this out. This is in the red. These are the words of Yahushua. Put the red letter up there. Oh, hold on, maybe not. I'm sorry. I think this is actually John John the Baptist speaking. Salakia, misspoke on that. This is John the Baptist speaking right here. It says Matthew 3:10. All right, and now also the axe is laid unto the root of the trees. Therefore, every tree which bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. Okay, so the Lord is gonna chop this whole kingdom down, man. Okay, even though it's taking root, right? Right now it's taking root. It's gonna be uprooted. All right, it's gonna be wasted suddenly, just like Babylon, the ancient Babylon was wasted suddenly. Okay, but it wasn't burnt up with fire like this place is going to be. This place is going to receive an epic judgment. Okay. Um, Now let me double check this here in verse 8. This one was a quick one as well. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Jeremiah 51 and 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. So people are gonna try to prolong. You got the maggers, which they're turning on each other. you know, this place isn't going to be able to be healed, man. It's not going to be restored to its former glory. It's just going to continue to degrade until the Lord burns it up. All right. And I'm gonna keep it simple. You know what I mean? You can read down on these precepts that we pull in, but we stick into Second Ezra 5. All right. Now this is verse 4. Second Ezra 5 and 4 says, "But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day." Okay, so this is a dark saying. Okay, first of all, what's it talking about? The third trumpet. Well, we're going to go to Revelation. We're going to start at chapter 8. Okay. When you read Revelation chapter 8, all right, specifically this chapter 8, it says the trumpets, it talks about the last trumpet, ultimately the last trumpets that represent the return of Yahushua and the things that's going to happen before and during the return of Yahushua, right? And so these are some of the things, when you go into it, the prayers of the saints going up, because we're praying for the destruction of this place. We're praying for the destruction, the dismantling of Babylon the Great, and so once that judgment commences, it's not going to stop. Okay. And nobody's going to be able to prolong Babylon's existence anymore, or their own. If the Lord has your number, if you don't have the mark of exemption, spiritual mark of exemption from judgment, you're going to get judged. Okay. It's not
And
going
I'm
to
gonna say
be.
this:
Yeah, come.
those our prayers and those curses we throwing up are working on y'all, man, and working on Babylon the Great. You see, and that's the thing, man. Get that precept, avenge not yourselves,
Come.
because I wanna address heathen Hakah with this
Mm-hmm.
playing victim bullshit he got going. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They want to unalive us because and all this whining and shit. Nah, that was it. You gonna change up the doctrine and you sold out, stand on that shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying, nigga? You been going off for years. And ain't nobody put a finger on you. Ain't nobody lifted a hand. Ain't nobody done nothing to you, man. It was y'all
Yeah.
camp that sent somebody to jump a GMS, brother. Y'all the ones with guns at camp. Shit, Jake should be scared of y'all.
Yep.
Ain't nobody laid a finger on you, and you been going off for 10 years plus.
Yep.
Now you want to play the victim? No. Stand on that shit. Man the fuck up.
Yep.
All you got to say is, well, I wasn't fully persuaded in my own mind back then. That's it?
And now you magically are.
You know
10
what I'm
years
saying?
later.
Like, bro, you got blood on your hands, man. You dirty as hell.
That's right.
You
Right.
dirty as hell. Now you want to play victim because somebody threw up a curse on you? Well, guess what? We've been throwing up curses on you, and it's been working because you
Yeah,
still ain't never got the full truth. And now look at you.
that's right.
Elder Yashawamba said all the time. I said, yeah, we be mad. We want to see Jay get hit by a bus. You want to see a plane crash on a nigga head? No. We seeing the judgment, the spiritual judgment. The Lord took everything from you. You know what I'm saying? You getting judged already.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
And you still got a physical judgment to worry about. Cause bro, that's what I'm saying. People don't watch you over the past 10, 12, however many years it was, and you wasn't even persuaded. You selling the word and you don't even know it?
Bro.
That's a huckster right there. So you goddamn right we threw curses up on you.
Yep.
And go continue to throw curses up on you. You ain't repented yet. If the whole nation of Israel was cursing you out, you still don't see no need to repent? That's proof that you sold out, bro.
God. And
I don't need to have no
oh,
picture of you taking the bag, nigga. I'm looking at you. You're the one cutting the camera on.
That's right. That's right.
And her side, come on, bro. ISUPK to Sakari to her, nigga, that's from bad to worse to evil.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that sinking ass ship y'all on, oh yeah, we gonna praise you. How about Shimmy? I wish I would have hit the bottom of the ocean. Go ahead.
Con, that's right. Yeah, this is Romans 12 and 9. Excuse me, Romans 12 and 19. It says, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath.
See that? We giving place unto wrath. What we instead of causing harm to a fellow Israelite, we give you we're gonna let the Lord deal with you.
Yep.
Lord, please stop their mouths. You see? Lord, please break this weak doctrine they got. Lord, please make them feel their mistakes. Lord, show them, Lord.
Right.
You see? We ain't got to lift a finger. All we got to do is face the east and let the curses fly up, man. That's our defense mechanism.
That's right.
You see?
That's right.
What's your defense mechanism? Call them rapists.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't never about the word with y'all, man.
Yeah.
You see? And I'm one more thing before we move on from this thought.
Mm-hmm.
You remember how Al-Azhar was like, well, I still believe, but I ain't in the Israelite community no more.
Yeah.
Hakkar said something similar.
Yeah.
He said, this ain't his community. That's y'all community. That ain't my community. So he probably finna drop the plow too.
I mean, I'll never claim that nigga. I mean, unfortunately, and honestly, like the scriptures say, spots in your feast. Anybody that stops talking when they were already wrong beforehand, I'm not. I mean, that's fine. Like you making us happy because you really leading the flock or the potential. You leading the potential flock astray. I mean, we believe that a majority of the individuals that, was in Sakari, that's actually men of the Lord. We believe a majority of them by now, if they haven't woken up and smelled the shit stains by now over there, what I mean? They probably ain't gonna make it anyway. But a majority of the men that actually the Lord's dealing with, they've already gotten up out of there, man. You know what I'm saying? So really, everybody else is still lingering around. Lord, like it says right here, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord.
See, so we can't do nothing worse to you than the Lord can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, bro, ain't nobody finna physically do nothing to you. And you know that. You know what I'm saying? So for you to sensationalize and act like a white girl is unacceptable. And we calling you on that shit, bro. Stop acting like a bitch. You know already sold out and changed up the doctrine. Then you gonna act like a girl on the way out? Fuck out of here, man. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. We would be shortchanging the Lord of his judgment if we touch them dudes. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even want that on my resume.
Yeah, we telling you ahead of time, it ain't worth it.
God. Right. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 5 and verse 4. It says, but if the Most High grant thee to live, all right, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night and the moon thrice in the day. So it talks about this third trumpet here. So that's why we went over to Revelation 8. Revelation. Oh, did I think I made it from, did I move it? Let me see. 12. There we go. 8. Right? Revelation 8. And again, when you read this chapter, it talks about the 7 trumpets. Now, when you go down after the third angel sounded or the third trumpet, you got the 4th trumpet, right? So it says after the third trumpet here in Revelation, I'm sorry, in 2nd Ezra 5, Okay, thou shalt see after the third trumpet, right? You see that? It's basically talking about the same concept here in Revelation 8 and 12. It says, and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So you have the same thing, sun, the moon, and the stars, right? And the sun and the moon, again, being mentioned here. Uh, the sun, the moon, and the stars represent wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay. We go into Revelation, the 12th chapter, and we break that down. Okay, where it talks about the same thing: a woman clothed with the sun, the moon, and the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Okay, that's going into ultimately wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and those 12 tribes of Israel. So you get the connection there. Okay, and then it talks about the third part of the moon and the third part of the stars and of the sun being smitten. Okay, that's ultimately going into Esau's understanding being darkened, his knowledge being confounded. Okay, and it's the same sentiment here. Okay, whenever you have things out of the ordinary happening in the heavens, okay, um, that lets you know that it's not the average situation. Okay, and so it says the sun suddenly shining again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day. Okay, so is the sun literally going to come and in the middle of midnight is going to just teleport in the middle of the night, like teleport into the sky? And the same thing with the moon, the sun is going to go away at noon? No. But if that was to happen, imagine if it did, how confusing that would be. You'd be confused about what time it is. So that's what it symbolizes. Okay, a confusing time. All right. And again, another similitude. All right, in verse 5, and blood shall drop out of wood. Does that mean that wood's literally going to be bleeding? Okay, you're going to have blood cells coming out of wood? No. Okay, it says blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice. Okay, the destruction from the missiles, man, is ultimately going to be destroying the trees, houses, buildings, and blood is ultimately going to be mingled with everything around it. It talks about in Revelation, where it talks about the blood is going to come up to the horse's bridle. Let's see if I can find that real
That's a
quick.
lot of blood.
Man, it might not. Is it in? Am I spelling this right here? Let me see here. I believe it's in Revelation.
What you just
Oh,
type in bridle?
yeah, I think actually it might be in Second Ezra. Actually, let me double check. Give me 1 second. Might actually be in Second Ezra. Let me see. Let me see here. No. Oh, bridles. Okay. I didn't put the S on the end. Revelation 14 and 20. Okay. Yeah, it's bridles, plural. Revelation 14 and 20. Let's see here. I'm gonna start at verse 18 and read straight through it. And another angel came out from the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud voice, with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. Going into the culmination of the judgment, all right, between the individuals on the earth and those in their respective judgments, whether it's salvation or destruction. It says, and the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth and gathered the vine of the earth and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Most High. Okay, so these are the individuals going to get judged. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So is this talking about actual blood coming up to a horse bridle is the mouth? So let's say 5 feet of full of blood, you know, you know what I mean? So that's
Right.
resembles, it's gonna be a lot. Okay. It's gonna be a lot of blood. Like a lot is an understatement. Okay. It's gonna be more blood than you've ever seen.
Right.
Okay. More bloodshed than you've ever seen, more than World War I and World War II combined. Okay. And again, there's going to be utter desolation. You know, I'm a visual learner. uh Google is on some weirdo shit with the searches now, but just type in, you know, World War I buildings aftermath, World War II buildings aftermath, what the cities look like, how they were completely just busted up, right? And
Because
imagine,
after a world war, that's what I'm saying. After a world war, it's major change.
right?
You see, that's why it's three. That's why it's those three major wars that's listed in the scriptures, man. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Revelation 9. You see, the
That's
third
right.
woe come quickly. The first two already passed. I'm saying each time, I'll say each world war brought major change to the earth. You see, you got it.
Con, that's right. All right, so it says, and the stone shall give his voice. Again, buildings coming crashing down, you know, houses, okay, and uh, and the people shall be troubled. Excuse me, you know, the stone shall give his voice. You know, the noises of buildings collapsing and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? People are gonna be all, you know, they're gonna be all disoriented, troubled, removing from different places to other places. It says, and even he shall rule whom they look not for that dwell upon the earth. Uh, get a precept real quick. Wisdom of Solomon, Wisdom of Solomon 5. Okay. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Right? So this isn't talking about just one individual person. All right, it's talking about the elect ultimately as a whole, as a group. Of course, Yahweh Shai being the ultimate righteous man, of course. Um, and so we're coming in, you know, as joint heirs of that. Okay. And I mean, you know, you can read down and so on, but that's just a precept to that, you know, to that verse 6 and second Ezra 5, right? I'll read verse 6 again. It says, and even he shall rule whom they look not for that dwell upon the earth, you know, because well, like the scriptures say, we're the offscoring of the earth. Basically, people look down on us like, you know, proverbs and bywords. They, you know, they mock us, make fun of us, especially us Israelites. You got demons when we be out and you know, preaching. They honk their horn or they, you know, say bullshit out their window while they're driving by, right? To try to invoke carnal, you know, or emotional response from us, right? So they're not looking for us, man, right? It says, and the fowls shall take their flight away together. Yeah, different animals are going to be removing out of their place. You know, it's going to be a huge, like the Elder Ariella says, a paradigm shift. Okay, the turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as a potter's clay. Okay, you know what happens with a potter's clay? If you mess something up while you spinning it, guess what you can do? You can just mash it all up and start over. Okay, that's what's gonna happen, bro. This place is gonna be a new heavens and a new earth, or first of all, demolished and then reconstructed. Okay, uh, continuing on here in verse 7, and the Sodomitish sea shall cast out fish and make a noise in the night, which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. Now, the Sodomitish Sea is talking about the Dead Sea. All right, you can look it up, the Dead Sea, and basically, Sotomayor Sea is the one of the only, first of all, it's the number one most saltiest sea on the planet. Okay. The Dead Sea. Let's just pull up a quick little tab. Uh, the Dead Sea. And it's called the Dead Sea. Here you can see here. I don't know why the picture changed. Let's go to some images. Okay. It's so salty, people can float on it. I think this is a good picture right here. If it actually lets me, I don't want to get a copyright infringement, so I'm gonna just go straight to the picture. You can see here, literally, that's salt on the shore right there, piles of it. So it's just basically like it said. I looked it up. It says it's like 7 times saltier than the sea. It says the Dead Sea contains some of the world's saltiest water. So that's why it's so clean. It's like nothing can live in it. Nothing can. It can't really get murky. It's basically clear because there can be no life that can survive. Look at this shit. There ain't no fish living in that. That's all. This ain't snow. This is salt, right? So this is a Sodomite Sea. It's basically like lifeless, right? That's the Dead Sea. That's why they call it that, because there's no life in it. Now, no fish. Now, if a sea is this salty, right? How the hell is it going to cast out fish, right? That lets you know that something's going to be mixed up. There's going to be signs. Okay, that's going to be a sign. If you see fish swimming around in the Dead Sea, and that's an oxymoron to its own name. Okay, and so these are all different signs that's going to be going on. Okay, it says to make a noise in the night, which many have not known. Okay, but so everybody's going to see what's going on. Okay,
And then you got to and then as you read this chapter, you know that the first few verses is about the destruction, and then the next 5, 6 verses is about the fallout. You know what I'm saying? After the bombs drop, after the destruction, there's still gonna be judgment going out.
That's right.
You see, you got it.
That's right. That's right. Nuclear fallout, everything. So it says in verse 8, 2 Esdras 5 and 8, there shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again. Meaning like natural fires, you know what I mean, cause displacement of animals. Of course, there's going to be other fires that are made, through other things that's going to be going on. The Lord, he could just randomly just spark a fire in a random place. He could just randomly just set a random house on fire and just start burning shit up and just cause people to bug out, right? So there's going to be a lot of stuff like that. This isn't something that's out of the scope of what we've already seen the Yahweh Shem Yahushua do. Okay, when you go into the plagues of Egypt, it makes me start thinking about those plagues when you kind of start reading on this, right? It says, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, okay, and the wild beasts shall change their places, animals. They showed you that in that movie. What was that movie? Leave the World Behind. You know what I'm saying? I watched that movie recently for the first time, and it talked, it showed how the animals. It was like a whole bunch of deer just randomly just came up to the backyard. It was like 100 deers. It was a bunch of birds. When you see a lot of birds moving around in the sky, that already is like an eerie feeling. Like you just see like 1,000 crows, and they're all just you know, cawing and chirping, and they moving around. You know what I mean? You're like, damn, what the hell is going on? It's something going on right here. Animals being moved around. Because they're more in tune with the spirit. They can kind of sense before earthquakes and certain things happen. They can sense, something's about to happen, right? It says, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. We bring that out all the time. Motherfuckers having deformed babies, You know,
It's just like with the fallout from Nagasaki and
Yep.
Hiroshima. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? All the birth defects and all of that. You know what I'm saying? They menstruous women brought forth monsters as a result of that fallout of that destruction. You see?
Right.
You got it.
That's right. That's exactly right. You know. Um, all right. So it says and salt waters shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Yeah, because the sweet water, that's drinkable water. So if you turn that into salt water, into undrinkable water, if it's contaminated due to nuclear fallout or just, anything get contaminated, because we have what's it called? I don't know if that's the right word, but like, purification centers where, the water that we, use for our showers and, our dishwashers, stuff like that is filtered and purified. All that shit is that's gonna be shut down, right? So people gonna be fighting over water, bro. And gonna even have nowhere to get no clean water from. You know what I'm saying? Nobody had people don't have wells on their property, water wells. They don't know how to purify water. And so they're gonna be bugging out. Niggas gonna be ready to put somebody to death over a 24 pack of water, man. You know, it says, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit.
It's going into that's what I'm saying. You got perplexity leading up to the destruction, and you got perplexity after the destruction.
Mhm. That's right. It says, then shall wit hide itself. Um, which we went into that, Revelation, I'm sorry, Amos 8 and 11. It says, then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber. See, so the Lord is going to close up. He's basically going to close up the availability of this word. Okay. And it's going to be every demon for himself. All right, because the only people that's going to be left is those who were not marked with the mark of exemption, the thawa, the mark of exemption of judgment. There, so that means they're all going to be out without a hedge, bugging out. You see, bugging out, right? It says, and shall be sought of many, talking about wit, understanding is going to be sought of many, and yet not be found, right? Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied on upon earth. You see that? So people are gonna be looking, they're gonna be looking around trying to figure out uh where's the men of the Lord at? You know what I mean? They're gonna be trying to figure out, man, oh, what was them guys saying, man? That was out there on the about Drewski. That nigga Drewski, he gonna be like, damn, you know, what I mean? All the people that scoffed and mocked, they're gonna be, well, we already brought that out in Wisdom of Solomon 5, but I'll read verse 2. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. So people, they're gonna see exactly what's been going on, uh, and how the Lord is dealing with some people, but the other people he ain't dealing with them. Okay, and they're just gonna bug out, man. They're just gonna continue to bug out. Okay. It says, one land also shall ask another and say, is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, no. Kind of reminds me of when what was his name? Shalmaneser asked a couple of Levites to come into the land and to show the heathen, the ways of the priests, so that way the land could be quelled, because the Lord was jacking them heathens up. They're gonna be kind of trying to seek and figure out, because imagine what had to happen in order for them to say, okay, send the priest back to see if it'll work. They're gonna be trying all different type of stuff. They're gonna be trying all different type of stuff to see. Jesus is gonna be the first thing that they're gonna realize ain't gonna work. Okay, JC, you know,
I
Okay,
said even with Saul, when the spirit left Saul, you see how he bugged out and was trying everything to get back. You know,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that lets you know Israelites gonna get tormented too.
that's right. That's right. That's right. Con. So yeah, man, and but they had chance to repent. You know what I mean? So they're gonna know they're gonna have death by pain, which that's in chapter 15, which we're gonna get to that eventually. Not in this lesson, but I'm gonna keep going here, get a few more verses. It says verse 12. Well, I don't think I read all the way verse 11. It says at the end, asking if any righteous man has gone through thee, it says, and it shall say no. No, no, we don't got no righteous man over here. Sorry, try the next city. Okay. Like Sodom and Gomorrah, when Abraham was asking the angel, it's like, would you save a city for 5 righteous men's sake? And they were like, yeah. He was like, yeah, yeah, I would spare it. Yeah. He was asking the Lord. So that lets you know there wasn't even five righteous spirits in that city, in the neighboring cities. So that's ready for that. When you have no righteous men in the city, that means that the Lord could wipe you off the face of the planet, and
Yep.
the world will be a better place. He wiped the whole city off the map. Okay, and that's what's gonna be, man. Whole city is gonna be wiped off the map. Okay, and it says, verse 12. At the same time, shall men hope, but nothing obtain. Yeah, you devils ain't gonna have no mercy, man. Okay, and any Israelite that's left behind in this time, okay, they're gonna be suffering the same fate as Esau and the other heathens, man. And then you got Negroids like Deacon Hakah and what's
Heathen
the other
Hakai.
guy's name?
That ain't no
Yeah,
deacon.
heathen. Yeah, yeah. My bad. Yeah, him, Hakah, and then Hassad. You know, they talking about 2% of the heathen, bro. What 2% of the heathen do you see preaching the word? And I'll show you that man through the spirit is an Israelite. If you see a man that appears to be, you know, that means that they're Israelite. But these guys, they talking about Cornelius wasn't an Israelite and all this bullshit.
Yeah, they shooting slugs at Luke.
Yeah,
A,
you
a
know,
full blown heathen with a book in the Bible. He wrote. Come on, bro. Like
crazy. Why does
that's
everybody have to be heathen? You can still get heathen bucks. What's the big deal?
oh man, that's wild.
Anyway,
That's wild work, bro.
they said, no, we want them to be on the chariot next to us. Fuck out of here. All right. It
That's what
says,
I'm saying. That's what make this make sense. Heathen that keep the law, statutes, and commandments. If the
yeah,
heathen keep the law, statutes, and commandments, how they gonna do that?
right. And they say, oh,
That
well, there was,
phrase right there is
yeah,
complete madness.
yeah. It's an oxymoron, you
They
know?
can't keep the law. That's what I'm saying. It didn't even work for us.
Right.
Come
Kind.
on, dog. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. That's what I'm saying. We gonna stay on your funky ass. Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This thing is about faith, you know? Faith is the driving force of our works. All right. Now, it says, they shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. While the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I read that. Psalms 2 and 1. It says, 2 Esdras 5 and 13, to show thee such tokens, I have leave. Meaning he was permitted to tell Ezra about these things. It says, and if thou wilt pray again and weep as now and fast uh even days. I don't know if there's supposed to be a S right here because I'm pretty sure it's 7 days, but I could be wrong. It says and fast even days, hold on, let me see, verse 13. Let me check my sword. Yeah, it says 7 days in the sword. So this should be right here, 7. It's just a typo.
Yeah.
So fast 7 days. I just double checked in my apocrypha. But it says, thou shalt hear yet greater things, right? So basically the angel gave Ezra a taste. You know what I'm saying? He gave him a good taste from verses 1 through 12. You know, he gave him a taste, right? And uh it says in verse 14, it says, then I awaked, and an extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. So after he received the vision, you know what I mean? Basically, he got high levels of anxiety, and basically, like he lost his strength.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? You know, that's how. So he saw stuff with the. It wasn't just him listening to the angel talk. He saw stuff with it, like, you know what I mean. He saw the vision like a narrator. You know what I mean? You know, like you got a movie you watching and you hearing the narrator narrate the movie, so he's explaining what's going on. That's pretty much, you know, he was seeing that vision. You know what I mean? To the point where he got scared. He was like, God, like, damn, people won't have, like, how the fuck, who's gonna live through that? He got scared. He's like, oh shit, this is coming to the earth. You know, he
Mhm.
thought the current situation was bad. Because remember, he was complaining, like, you know, how the heathen, and the Lord was like, okay, you think this is bad? Watch, wait till you see what was really finna come in the future. So he was extreme, says it, he had extreme fearfulness, okay, and his mind was troubled so that it fainted. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me, comforted me, and set me up upon my feet. And in the second
Yeah,
night, yeah,
set me up upon my feet.
yeah,
He seen all that happening. She took ahead of him, fell down. Said,
hmm
dang, he fainted.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was like, yeah. I think
Yeah,
Daniel.
you know how we see something, we be like, God damn. That's what
Mhm.
I'm saying. You can only imagine how intense that was. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, he saw. Yeah, he saw a culminate. He saw like a highlight reel of a lot of stuff, and then at we desensitized, so it's like you could see a nigga head get chopped off and kicked down the street, and while eating a turkey sandwich. But
Man,
you see, you know what I mean. He's seeing this stuff, and there's visions, like, visions are heavy. Like, when you get a like a vivid dream or something that Zaquan. Now you can tell like
yeah, and then
something
he
high spiritual,
2,500 years ago, so he's seeing, that's what I'm saying. He's seeing the technology of today.
right?
Just like the John the Revelator saw the mark of the beast, and he saw that line, and he saw you niggas raising y'all sleeves up, acting like some hoes. Go ahead.
That's right. That's right, Con. You know what I mean? And so the angel had to come and rejuvenate him, right? Comfort him. It says, and set him up on his feet, gave him strength, to continue on. It says, so that was the first night. It says, and then the second night, it came to pass that Salathiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, where hast thou been? And why is thy countenance so heavy? Yeah, because what was it? Where it said 7 days. So he was already in the spirit. Like, I think it was in the beginning of chapter 3. Yeah. In the beginning of chapter 3, you know what I'm saying? He was praying those prayers, and then chapter 3 and chapter 4 and chapter 5 pretty much happened pretty much all within a very short succession of time. And so Ezra was up, he was up, in his quarters or wherever he was at, and the captain of the people came to Ezra, was like, yo, hey, like, you good, elder? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why you look like, you know, why you look like that? You know what I mean? Because he just received these visions. Like, where you been? Like, are you good? And he said, verse 17, it says, knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? And right, he, so because remember, Ezra was a leader of the people. He has his own book in the canon, in the Old Testament, right? It says, up then and eat bread, and forsake us not, as the shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. He's like, hey man, come on, like you got to do your job. You know what I mean,
We
elder?
need
You
you,
got
baby.
to, yeah, you got to lead us. You know what I mean. Israel is your responsibility in this moment right now. It says in verse 19, then I said unto him, go thy ways from me, and come not nigh me. And he heard what I said and went from me. So he said, look, bro, I don't got time to explain this to you right now. Just leave me alone. He was like, okay, well shit. He backed up. Because there's how you gonna explain all of that to
Right.
you know what I mean? To a man
Ain't
like
no
that.
way.
Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, man, the Lord speaking right now, you know what I mean? Let me focus on this. And I guess we can kind of I'll read verse 19 and end it there. It says I read that already. Uh so yeah, so that's it. We can stop there at 19 because really um we already been going for an hour, but this second part is another vision, you know what I mean? After 7 days of fasting, it's like another conversation, I'll say, that leads into other visions and expounds on other precepts that we bring out often. So I think that's a good place to stop. Uh, Even though we kind of only went 20 verses, most of it was prophecy, so we had to get precepts all throughout.
Mhm.
So I see brother sent precepts. Did you have anything, Zaquan? Any
No,
points or
I
anything?
saw some precepts on the comment board, like brothers was lightening up a little bit. So you want to get a few of those?
Yeah, let me look here. Um, Let me see here. Let me see. Jeremiah 14. The prophets prophesy a lie in my names. Yep. Yep. False prophets. Uh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get this real quick. This is here, let me tidy this up. This is Jeremiah 14 and 15. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, and I sent them not. Yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine, those prophets shall be consumed. False prophets, teaching, anything that's other than the gospel that they've been taught. All right. You taking away or you adding to uh the gospel, all right. Those curses are going to be added unto you. Okay. Those curses are going to be added unto you. Right? Matthew 7 and 15. Beware of false prophets which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Right? That's basically a lot of these false prophets, man. Okay. And then I'll end this one here. The brother the brother here said Hakah said there is no love there is no love in the brotherhood of One West, but there's love in the truth.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. How you know anything about One West?
bro,
You
you
know what I'm
don't.
saying? That's more proof he juiced in with vocab. Vocab got more history on One West than anybody. So for him to go there, that's what I'm saying. All he doing is showing his hand. Like, bro, come on now.
Yeah,
You got
One
more to
West.
say about One West, and we actually deal with the apostles. Come on, man.
They through
Okay.
out of there. You know. So we're gonna continue to edify the flock, man. Lord willing, Abaratazar, this is edifying. And we'll get into part two next week, Lord willing. All right. So with that, we're gonna give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachak. Double honors to the apostles and those a great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Till next time, Shalom.
Shalom.